Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take about 30 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders, business owners, to provide you some great Ironman mindsets to help you scale your business, to become a better leader and push yourself out of a comfort zone into something that's going to stretch you. We hope you really enjoy these shows and encourage you to like and share with your friends, your network, family members. Try and get a wider audience and improve our industry. On each show, I'm going to try and pull out one type of Ironman mindset, insight that you can take back to your business. And if you're implementing one insight every single week or all the shows, then it's going to make a dramatic improvement to your business. Super excited as well to share that we're partnering up with Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. Really excited today to be joined by Bryan Gyllen and Jeff from DeSantis Landscapes. So thank you guys for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So just for our extensive audience, maybe if each of you can just share a couple minutes about your background, that would be great.
Again, my name is Bryan Gyllen. I'm the Vice President of Operations for DeSantis Landscapes. I've been with the company for about 15 years. DeSantis Landscapes operates about 4 branches in the Portland and Salem area. We have about 150 employees, and we have a fleet of about 105 trucks or so.
Yeah, about that.
So anyway, excited to be here.
I'm Jeff Veraldi, fleet manager, facilities manager for DeSantis Landscapes. I've been here for just over a year now, so I kind of fully understand what's going on and how this place operates. And really happy to join the team, trying to improve every day.
Well, I know that I know Dean well, and I know sustainability is a big part of your company footprint. Love to just talk a little bit more about the project the two of you involved in. I think we talked offline a little bit about the electrification of vehicles. So tell me a little bit about that program, how you got into it, what sparked the interest.
Yeah, so I think there was, we like a lot of municipalities, Portland is moving towards kind of banning blowers within the city limits. And so we were looking for some strategies on electrification of some of our 2-cycle equipment. But we were introduced to an organization called the Breaking Barriers Collaborative, which puts on a fleet decarbonization program. So when we were first introduced to it, wasn't really what we were looking for. But the more we kind of looked into it, we thought this is a good idea. This really goes hand in hand with some of the electrification that we need to do with our 2-cycle equipment. At the same time, I met Jeff Veraldi. We were without a fleet manager, and it was fortuitous because we met kind of through when I was looking for other vehicles to buy, and he expressed interest in fleet management within our space. What I learned about Jeff is that he's got a passion for electrification, and he's got experience and background in that. So I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've actually started working with electric vehicles about 15 years ago. I had a chance of working with a startup electric company down in Southern California that wound up going under, but I was able to learn a lot in those early days and really open my eyes to what a bright future the electrification has on vehicles. A lot of people don't understand how complex internal combustion engines are and how everything needs to be perfect. We've perfected the engine so well that people they're not worried about all the stuff going on inside that they've kind of perfected with. You got to have like the perfect timing, the perfect tolerances. You have so many moving parts, and then along with that, you have so many different fluids: engine oil, power steering fluid, transmission fluid, filters for all of those fluids, spark plugs, just so many consumables and items that need to be serviced periodically. With electric vehicles, it's really so simple. You got batteries and a motor, basically. No transmissions. It's really simplified, and the number of parts required for electric vehicle, it's much lower. There's nothing that really needs to be serviced, and it's from a driving perspective, it's just so much more pleasant. You don't have the going through the gears, the noise, the exhaust, even just in a drive-through. You got your window down, and if the wind is blowing just right, you're choking on your own exhaust. So it makes sense to me. Electricity is everywhere. You might not be able to get a level 2, level 3 charger anywhere you want, but electricity is pretty abundant. It's even the dirtiest coal plants can produce electricity much cleaner than an individual internal combustion vehicle. So there's a lot of myths out there that try to scare people away from getting off of gas. But yeah, slowly we got to keep on educating people. It's not that scary, and it's beneficial for everyone.
Our industry tends to shy away from trying new things just because they'd rather let other people go through all those challenges and headaches with trying to make a switch over. But, there's definitely innovative companies that are willing to take that plunge, especially supposing having some expertise on the team. And it sounds like you've had some great support from outside resources, Bryan.
Yeah, I think there was always kind of we had the volition to decarbonize. And I don't think amongst our leadership, people are very interested in EVs. There's been a lot of efforts throughout the years with hybrids, biodiesel, stuff like that. So when we saw this program, it's really comprehensive. It walks you through evaluating what the ROI is, where the opportunities are within our fleet. And, prior to getting into this class and breaking it down, it was really hard for me to see, like, how are we going to get this done? How are we going to, flip over 105 vehicles? But what we learned is that there's definitely compelling parts of our fleet that make a lot of sense to decarbonize. So a lot of our light duty vehicles, service vans are good candidates, light duty pickups that managers use. Really what we landed on is about a quarter of our fleet that we can do something about. And that's kind of where we're starting. What we found is that medium duty vehicles, the technology is not quite there yet, but it does sound like it's right around the corner, which is kind of the workhorse of our fleet and probably most any other landscape fleet. So not only did this program go through identifying those opportunities, it also brought a lot of resources to bear in the way of grant money. We've connected with our local utility to kind of evaluate what kind of make-ready infrastructure that we could put into place. Truthfully, the numbers were not very compelling our first time through, so I think we were maybe a little conservative on our estimates for how much electricity we would use in the future. But locally here, PGE has a good program that I think could be pretty aggressive if, as we kind of look at that. So it's another thing that we probably need to go back and look at. Along with that, you're in a cohort in this class. And so there's a lot of other people trying to do the same thing. So there's a lot of idea sharing and just different strategies that other people have come up with that we've been able to adopt. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, it was interesting because we weren't just in this cohort with other landscaping companies. There were a couple of construction companies, but there were schools. There were some really, really big companies and some smaller companies, and just the different challenges for each company. Are you public facing with the charging stations? Are you going to have to share? What if someone jams up all your chargers and you can't have the facility vehicles charged up and all that stuff? So it kind of showed us we're kind of in a better position than a lot of the other ones because we own the property of most of our locations, because the infrastructure is a huge thing. It's a big investment to be able to provide the electricity and the charging capabilities for the equipment or the EVs, whatever it be. So yeah, that kind of opened our eyes. It's going to be a struggle, but we don't have it as bad as some of these public entities and huge companies that already have thousands of internal combustion vehicles.
No, I like that idea about, if you're going through this sort of cohort of, group of other business owners or other companies, then probably each of you are coming up with some type of challenges. So, if you're able to share some ideas or if you come across obstacles, there's probably some type of channel that you can have those types of discussions. So I love that a lot. Now, when, it sounds like, either you've made a huge investment or it's an ongoing investment. But when you start to plan out that rollout, are you putting in the infrastructure for what the fleet are going to look like in 5 or 10 years time, where everything is almost electrified, or are you doing it in stages like you talked about? I think you talked about 20-25% of your fleet.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the light duty vehicles, there's a lot of opportunities with people that already take vehicles home with them, and they either direct report from work or they drive into work with that vehicle. So that would be more of an infrastructure fix, maybe where they live. We do have some charging at the shop, but I mean, I think the stuff that would be 5 to 10 years down the road, I mean, you're really planning to have a full fleet of electrified vehicles where they're plugging in each night, they're charging overnight, and they're topped off in the morning. But the big thing that my big takeaway from it is that you got to start planning now, right? I mean, some of these things are so expensive that starting to feather out those expenses in your budget over the next 5 years is really important to start. So I feel lucky that, we ran into this class, that I met Jeff, because that set us on a track to really start looking on what can we do right now? What can we do in the next 3 years? And how do we plan for the 5 to 10 year interval out from here?
But yeah, it is a hard thing to, you can't just incrementally take baby steps to adding on chargers. We could throw a couple of level 2 chargers off a couple of our buildings here, but if we want more capacity, it's going to involve trenching and new panels, transformers, and all that stuff. And you can't just be we'll take 2 more chargers right now, PGE, and then next year we want to trench and do all that stuff again, just add another 2 chargers. I mean, it's going to be an investment, a gamble. You're kind of trying to predict the future of what your needs are going to be. I'm looking forward to 20 years in the future where it's just everything is already all set up. Every new house comes with EV chargers, and
nice.
Everyone's already retrofitted all their old houses and stuff. But we're in the thick of it now. But challenging.
There's been a lot of grant opportunities, in particular for municipalities and school districts. We haven't seen a lot of that money enter into the private sector, and it's really where it's needed. If there was just a little bit more help, I think it would help us kind of accelerate what we're trying to do. But I would imagine in the near future, some of that money will start coming online.
And where are you currently at with, you talked about that sort of that lighter level of fleet. Have you made that switch yet? Are you part of the way through that? Where do you sit with rolling out your program?
So currently we're operating 4 Tesla Model 3s, and we have a Chevy Silverado. So to me, we're just getting started, but maybe you can talk a little bit about just budgeting and future planning.
Yeah, so we do have some fuel-efficient vehicles that are going to be aging out soon that estimators and managers use. Some Honda Fits that are getting 41 miles to the gallon. It's not too bad, but one of the nice things about there are Chevrolet Bolts, and the Model 3s and stuff are just as expensive as a Honda Civic basically now. So it's kind of a no-brainer to be, once we are rotating those vehicles out, replace them with electric vehicles. So it's going to be kind of a combination of phasing out the older vehicles as they age out and adding on. So I think it's going to be kind of half and half. We'll replace 2 internal combustion vehicles and add 2 electric vehicles or something like that in addition. And so, we can't just do a big swipe. And even if we did, we'd kind of be caught with our pants down as far as the infrastructure part. So you don't want to have 10 EVs that all come to work at the same time and only 2 chargers that are working.
Slight problem. I remember, back when I had my company in Phoenix, we made, it was a little bit controversial at the time. A lot of our business developers and even some of our account managers, were driving around in, F-150s or something similar. And, there was just that sense of, there was some pride there. People wanted to drive their truck. So when we made the decision, and I think it was the time when fuel skyrocketed for some reason, we've switched a lot of our account managers to Priuses. So there was a little bit of an ego hit there, but I think it after a period of time, they recognized that they could do their job just as well with a smaller vehicle and a more fuel efficient vehicle. But so there was a sense of pride there. But also, I think our clients loved just the fact that we were moving that direction, just being more sustainable and green. And, we actually used that for a lot of publicity. How is it being, I suppose, received by your team and also your clients?
Yeah, I think from a client standpoint, whether we're talking about an account manager showing up in an electric vehicle or just using electric equipment on our sites, pretty much everyone's like, yes, please use the electric equipment. We prefer that over the gas-powered blowers and equipment. As far as how it's received from the team, we've done a couple of regional managers in Teslas, and they love them. And I'll let you talk about the Silverado that we brought in. That's a good story, I think.
What we've learned with the telematics and stuff that we have on the vehicles is the production vehicles don't actually put on nearly as many miles as a lot of our managers. We have a couple of managers that are running back and forth between basically Vancouver to Salem, and a couple of our managers are doing almost 30,000 miles a year on their vehicle. So they're set up in a 3/4 ton truck that's capable of towing when they need it. They don't need to very often. It's got huge payload capacity. They don't really utilize that often, but it's nice to have. But getting 13 miles to the gallon, it adds up big time. And so just this the first electric Silverado that we got, the driver loves it. The fuel savings that we're getting is almost covering the payment, the truck payment. We were waiting for the Silverado EV to come out because it seemed like it was going to be much better than the F-150. I think the Ford didn't totally. They were first to market, but it wasn't as dialed in as everyone had hoped. But the Silverado EV seems to be pretty awesome.
And it's rated for towing, right?
Yeah, so it's rated 12,500 pounds of towing. We actually let our driver take his little toy hauler out to the coast with it, and so he had a 9,000 pound trailer behind it. He was never lacking power. Range definitely did go down. The one pedal driving he loves. Getting that regenerative braking is fantastic, and it's just so funny. He's kind of an older gentleman, and he had a mullet for a little while, and you wouldn't think that he's into the whole electric thing, but he is so down, and he's throwing solar panels on his house, and he doesn't understand why everyone isn't driving one of these things, basically.
Wow, okay. Well,
so he's become like the EV prophet around here, just kind of spreading the news. So
well, you're right. I mean, because sometimes, I hate saying it, that people, when they get stuck in their ways and they're like being in that comfort zone of what they've been used to in the past. So tough to get them to change. But sounds like you've done a good job of, just again, I suppose providing the tool and letting them try it, and then they can be your advocate, and promote it.
Yeah, that's an important point. I think, there's always going to be someone that's a naysayer about something new, like you pointed out. And this was kind of a surprise that happened the opposite way. Not that I thought he was going to be a naysayer, but super excited about it and created a lot of positive energy surrounding that idea.
So now we're getting close to wrapping up time here, but there's probably some people listening to this and thinking, yeah, this sounds really cool. What are the first steps to even start to think about electrification of our fleet or maybe of our equipment? Because I've seen many cases where California, that those West Coast states tend to start new initiatives, and then slowly it begins to spread across the country. So there's probably some of that going on, thinking, we know it's coming. Do we wait until it comes, or would we get ahead of the curve? So what do you think the first steps for them would be, just to, I suppose, better educate themselves or be prepared?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll put in a plug for the class that we went through. The Breaking Barriers Collaborative Fleet Decarbonization Program was clutch for us. But I think outside of enrolling in a class like that, to really go through and break it down, I think just looking at the ROI on light duty vehicles. I think if you're in a spot where you're about to make a decision about buying a light duty vehicle for like an account manager or maybe an irrigation technician, look at the cost savings and the total cost of vehicle, because it's a no-brainer. I mean, I think the fuel savings is significant. And to Jeff's point, the maintenance is minimal. I've driven an EV for 4 years and I've done nothing to it except for put washer fluid into it. Just something to think about. It's really easy to get into the routine of just buying the next vehicle that matches your fleet. But, we're betting on this saving us a lot of money.
Yeah, it's you just kind of got to jump. You got to make that commitment. It really does pay off as the fleet manager. I'm trying to push as many EVs as possible because even though our service intervals, I try to spread them out as far as possible. It comes up pretty often when you got 100 vehicles that you're dealing with. So upfront cost of an electric vehicle or electric machine, it might be 10% more, 20% more than an internal combustion counterpart. But the way I look at it is you're kind of paying for all your gas up front with the big expense of the battery pack. Electricity is relatively very inexpensive when you compare it to gasoline, but to not have to worry about fluids, filters, downtime, and all that you get with the internal combustion stuff. And plus, there's a lot of health benefits that people don't take into effect. The emissions that come, especially from these two-stroke pieces of equipment, handling the fuel. I mean, if you have any enclosed trailers with equipment sitting in it and gas cans sitting inside of it on a hot day, you open that door and just knocks you in the face. Just all those hydrocarbons floating around in there, and longevity. You're breathing that stuff in day out. It's going to have a negative effect on your health, and it's not going to be immediate. It's going to be down the line.
Well, even you probably, I suppose, haven't even realized some of that ROI yet, because one of my biggest complaints always was we had a couple of workshops, and I always felt as though it was this black hole of would send stuff in there, vehicles or equipment. There was never really any set production rates, so there seemed to be this black hole of costs and how long should stuff take to repair and all that stuff. But I would imagine just eliminating a lot of those types of unknowns or costs, and not necessarily having to deal with all those maintenance issues, or even just the wasted time on somebody trying to start up a weed eater or hedge trimmer and all that type of stuff. So there's so many different facets here.
Yeah, that's great with. You could ruin a machine instantly, putting the wrong gasoline in it. You put just straight gas in a two-stroke machine, run that engine for just a short bit, and the machine is pretty much junk after that. With electricity, you can't put the wrong electricity in it. They make it pretty hard. So longevity, I think it's definitely not perfected. The commercial industry is very hard on equipment. A few years ago, they were kind of just homeowner edition kind of, but especially I think the big manufacturers are realizing that the commercial side of maintenance is going to have to embrace it, and they're going to have to build stuff that is capable of handling the rough life and the long run times and all that we require. So it's definitely not just a straight trade. Right now, there's going to be some compromise, but there's also going to be benefits. But it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think as you uncover issues that pop up with making that switch, you'll just bring in some best practices around those things you notice as you begin to use them and roll them out more and more. There's obviously concerns with when you hear about batteries and enclosed spaces, and you hear those stories in the news. All those types of things are going to have to be brought up and discussed and dealt with. So, but that's I suppose with any new invention or new idea. So you're always going to have to go through that learning phase.
Yeah, and I think getting the team comfortable with the technology and having it be normalized, I think is what's happening here. And I think that's where you get a lot of collaboration from the team and ideas and strategies on how we can continue to scale that part of our business.
Well, guys, I know we're running out of time here, but I really appreciate your time. What if people want to get in touch with either of you, just to suppose, pick your brains more and just figure out, what are some of the things we need to do, or just learn a little bit more getting into? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Probably just reach out via email would be the easiest way, I would say. Yeah, or hit us up on LinkedIn.
Well, thank you guys. Really, again, appreciate the time. I'm glad you're being innovative, and look forward to getting back on here in another 6 months or so and just getting an update on how you're doing with rolling things out. But nice job, guys.
Thanks for helping us spread the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, take care, guys. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great Ironman mindset takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. Love to get you, your friends, your employees to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to your various podcast channels. Visit our website, commerciallandscaper.com or wilson-360.com. You could check out our digital courses. You could check out peer groups, coaching, my book, Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. And we just want you to have a pure, dead, brilliant day. And finally, thanks again to Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone.